Imagine for a second you're the captain of a massive ship.
Okay.
And not just any ship. We're talking the most expensive, most controversial, most delayed ship in history.
All right.
You've spent almost 2 decades just building the dock. And finally, after billions of dollars and just endless political fights, you cut the ribbon on the engine room.
It's a huge victory.
A huge victory. Champagne's popping, politicians are all smiling. And then, less than 24 hours later, the captain, the guy who's supposed to steer this whole thing, is in the back of a police car.
In handcuffs.
In handcuffs.
It sounds like, a subplot from a season of House of Cards or something, doesn't it?
It really does.
But unfortunately for the taxpayers of California, this is not fiction. This is just another week in the life of the High-Speed Rail Authority.
Welcome back to The Deep Dive. It is Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. I'm your host.
And I'm your expert.
Today we are unpacking a story that is, it's almost too chaotic to believe. We are looking at this collision between concrete progress and just executive meltdown.
It's a perfect storm. It really is. On one side, you have a genuine infrastructure milestone, something you can actually touch.
Something real.
And on the other, you have a mugshot and a leadership vacuum. So our mission today is to sift through all the noise. We've got official railway industry reports, police blotters from Folsom, legal statements from the Sacramento DA, and some pretty scorching political commentary from the Central Valley.
We need to figure out if this train is finally picking up speed or if the wheels are just coming off as it leaves the station, because the timing here it's incredibly suspicious, or at least incredibly ironic.
Oh, ironic is putting it mildly. The juxtaposition is just so stark. Tuesday was a celebration of engineering. Wednesday was a lesson in crisis management.
Let's start with the Tuesday news. Let's give credit where it's due. On February 3rd, the California High-Speed Rail Authority, the CHSRA, they officially announced the completion of the Southern Railhead facility near Wasco.
Right.
Now, to the average person, railhead facility sounds, like a boring parking lot for trains. But looking at the specs, this is a monster.
It is massive, and we really need to help you, the listener, picture this. This facility is in Kern County, and it covers 150 acres.
150 acres? What does it even look like?
Well, think about Disneyland in Anaheim. This is bigger, significantly bigger.
That is a lot of concrete in the middle of the Central Valley.
It's a city of concrete. And this isn't just a place to park trains. This facility is like the logistical heart for the entire next era of the project.
So what's in it?
It includes a rail storage yard, massive warehouse space, maintenance OE buildings, and a central control office.
Okay, the sources mention maintenance of way. What does that actually do?
Think of it like a pit crew garage, but for the track itself. High-speed rail isn't like a freight line where things can be a little bumpy. The tolerances are incredibly tight when you're going, 200 miles per hour.
Right.
So this facility is where they house all the specialized gear to inspect, repair, and just maintain the geometry of the track.
And the big news, the nugget that all the engineers are excited about, is that they actually laid track, right? Because the running joke for 10 years has been, where's the track?
They did. The facility includes about 10 miles of temporary siding and storage tracks. But here's the critical part, the thing that most headlines missed.
What's that?
Those tracks connect directly to the BNSF Railway Freight Network.
Okay, let's pause right there. Why is connecting to BNSF, a freight line, so important for a high-speed passenger train?
It's the umbilical cord.
The umbilical cord.
Yeah. You have to remember, you can't just truck in the materials you need for the next phase. We're not talking about lumber and drywall. We're talking about 400-foot lengths of hardened steel rail.
Woo!
Massive concrete sleepers. The heavy steel poles for the electrification system. The catenary.
You can't put that on a flatbed on I-5.
Exactly. It's way too heavy, way too long. The only way to get the materials to the construction site is by rail. So this connection lets them bring in trainloads of heavy industrial material from all over the country, offload it at Wasco, process it, and then deploy it onto the new line.
So without this facility, they literally couldn't build the rest of the system.
Correct. It is the staging ground. Without Wasco, the track and systems phase, which is the big transition from just moving dirt to actually installing technology, it's impossible.
I see. So up to now, it's been civil works, moving dirt. Now they're trying to switch to systems.
Right. Civil works is bulldozers.
Right.
Systems is electronics, high voltage power, signaling. It's a much more complex, much more delicate phase. And this facility is the brain that controls that transition.
So on February 3rd, the press release goes out. Mission accomplished on the railhead. The concrete is dry, the tracks connect to the national grid, It looks like the project is finally maturing.
And if the news cycle had stopped right there, we'd be having a very different conversation today.
A much more boring one.
We'd be talking about construction timelines and welding techniques.
But the news cycle didn't stop. The sun came up on February 4th.
And that is when the narrative flipped from, engineering news record to the police blotter.
We are talking about Ian Choudri. He is, or I guess was the man hired to lead this transition we just talked about.
Ian Choudri, the CEO. And the context here is vital. He hasn't been there for a decade. He was appointed pretty recently, August 2024, so he's been in the seat for about 18 months.
And he was brought in specifically for this, right?
Yes, he had the technical background to handle this exact shift from dirt to systems. He was supposed to be the steady hand on the wheel.
The fixer.
Exactly, the professional.
So take us to Folsom, California, February 4th. What happened?
According to the Folsom Police Department, a 911 call came in from a neighbor. And this wasn't some quiet dispute inside a house. The report says the argument has spilled out onto the front lawn.
Oh, that's never a good sign. Who was involved?
The police report identifies Choudri, his fiancée, Ludmila Starostek, and his 17-year-old daughter.
And we're not just talking about shouting. The sources mention physical allegations?
Yes. The allegations in the report included hair pulling and pushing. It was just chaotic. When the officers arrived, they had to make a judgment call. And based on what they saw and heard, they arrested both Choudri and his fiancée.
They were both taken in.
Both booked. Choudri on suspicion of domestic battery. Starostek was booked for that, plus an additional suspicion of cruelty to a child. Handcuffed, put in squad cars, taken to the Sacramento County Jail.
Okay, let's just sit with that image for a moment. You have the CEO of the largest public infrastructure project in the United States, a project worth over $100 billion.
$100 billion.
Sitting in a holding cell less than 24 hours after this major ribbon cutting.
It's a PR nightmare of the absolute highest order.
But, and this is where the story gets so legally complicated, he isn't currently facing charges, is he?
No. And this is the part that has sparked a lot of confusion. And, frankly, some anger. The Sacramento County District Attorney, Ian Choudri, reviewed the case and declined to file charges.
Wait, hold on. The police arrested him. They booked him. They obviously thought a crime occurred. How does the DA just say, never mind?
Well, it comes down to a specific nuance in California law. It's about something called the dominant aggressor.
Unpack that for us. What does that mean in plain English?
In California, when police respond to a domestic violence call, they are trained to try and identify who started it or who was the primary threat, the dominant aggressor.
Okay.
But in this case, the situation was apparently so muddled that the officers arrested both parties.
So the police couldn't figure out who the bad guy was.
Exactly. It was a mutual combat situation, or it was just completely unclear. So when the file got to the district attorney, he has a different standard. Police need probable cause. The DA needs proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
And without injuries?
That's the key. The DA's statement explicitly said that officers did not observe or note any injuries on anyone involved.
No bruises, no marks.
Nothing. No blood. Without any physical evidence, and with this he said, she said thing, where both of them got arrested, the DA knows he cannot win that case in court.
So legally it's a dead end?
Legally, yes. Choudri's defense attorney, Alan Sawyer, he called it a nothing burger.
A nothing burger.
Said it was a family argument that got out of hand, and the matter is closed.
I'm sure that's a great legal term, but let's be real. If you or I got arrested for domestic battery on a Tuesday night, even if the charges were dropped, I don't think our employers would call it a nothing burger.
No, they'd probably call it a liability. And that brings us to the professional fallout. Because even though the criminal court is done with Ian Choudri, the court of public opinion and the bureaucracy is not.
He isn't back at work, is he?
No. Despite the dismissal of charges, Choudri is currently on a voluntary leave of absence.
Voluntary. We see that word a lot in these situations, don't we?
It's the standard corporate holding pattern. It allows the CHSRA board and the California State Transportation Agency to conduct a full internal review.
Which basically means they're buying time to figure out if they can keep him or if they have to fire him.
Exactly. But while they are buying time, what is happening to the project? We just established the Wasco facility is open. It's ready. It's the umbilical cord. Can the project function without a brain?
That is the tragedy here. The timing could not possibly be worse.
No. The agency is trying to negotiate these massive contracts for the trains themselves. They're dealing with the Federal Railroad Administration. They're trying to get the electrification started. These are high-level decisions that, well, they require a CEO.
Right. You can't just have an interim manager sign off on a billion-dollar train order.
Exactly. It paralyzes the strategic side of the agency. The workers at Wasco will keep welding rail, sure.
But the big picture.
The big picture, the momentum, that hits a brick wall when the leadership is in limbo. It creates a headless organization right when it needs a strong leader the most.
And this brings us to the political storm. Because this project doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in a state where gas prices are high, taxes are high, and people are, well, they're pretty skeptical of government spending.
And this project has always been the poster child for that skepticism. I mean, remember, former President Donald Trump pulled federal funding for this project. He called it a disaster, a waste of money.
Right, the whole bullet train to nowhere narrative.
Exactly. So when you have the CEO of that project getting arrested, it's like pouring gasoline on the fire for critics. It just confirms every negative stereotype about the project being unprofessional, chaotic, a boondoggle.
I want to focus on a specific criticism that came up in our research. Assemblyman David Tangipa, he's a Republican from the San Joaquin Valley, and he had a very interesting reaction to the DA dropping the charges.
Yes, and this is where the story gets very thorny. Assemblyman Tangipa took to social media and publicly questioned the Sacramento DA, Thien Ho. And we do have to note the political affiliations here.
Okay.
Thien Ho is a Democrat who is currently running for Congress.
So you have a Republican politician questioning a Democrat DA about a Democrat-appointed CEO.
Correct. And Tangipa's point was simple. He said, I have more questions now than I did before. He's asking why a domestic violence case involving such a high-profile political appointee was dismissed so quickly.
It does feel fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Arrested on the 4th, cleared almost immediately.
To the average person, it looks incredibly convenient. Tangipa is tapping into a very real sentiment that a lot of people have, this idea of a two-tiered system of justice.
The idea that if some regular guy from Folsom gets into a brawl on his lawn, he gets dragged through the court system for months.
For months.
But if you're the CEO of the high-speed rail, it goes away in an afternoon.
Exactly. Now, to be fair to the DA, as we explained, the dominant aggressor law and the lack of injuries, that gives him a solid legal reason for the dismissal.
But politics isn't about legal technicalities.
Not at all. It's about optics. And the optics here are terrible. It just looks like the political class protecting its own.
And Tangipa knows that. He knows that by just asking the question, he highlights the messiness of the whole thing.
And it damages the project. The High-Speed Rail Authority relies on public goodwill, or at least public tolerance, to keep getting funding. Every single time there's a scandal, whether it's a cost overrun or a CEO in handcuffs, that tolerance just gets thinner and thinner.
And meanwhile, the CHSRA spokespeople are out there trying to spin this. What's the official line?
The official line is, quote, work continues without interruption, and our priorities remain unchanged.
Work continues without interruption. Do you buy that for a second?
No. It's damage control. Of course, work is interrupted. Maybe not the guy pouring cement, but the high-level meetings, the strategy, the confidence of federal partners, all of that is interrupted. You can't just decapitate an organization and claim everything is fine.
It feels a little bit like the band playing on the Titanic. Don't worry. The music hasn't stopped, even though the captain is missing.
That's a harsh analogy, but I think it fits. The bureaucracy is trying to project stability because they are terrified that if they admit there's chaos, the funding might stop.
So let's zoom out and look at the big picture for you, the listener. We have this 150-acre facility in Wasco. It's real. It's built. It's a sign that the train could actually happen.
It's the most significant physical progress we have seen in years. It proves that the engineering side of the house is actually competent. They built a complex logistics hub that connects to the national freight network. That's a win.
But then we have the software side, the people running it.
And that side is crashing. We have a CEO in a voluntary leave limbo. We have a DA making controversial calls. We have politicians using the arrest as ammunition to attack the entire project.
It just makes you wonder, at what point does all the chaos outweigh the progress?
That is the question. The sunk cost fallacy is so real here. The state has poured billions into the dirt of the Central Valley. They feel like they can't stop. But if the leadership is morally compromised or just professionally unstable, are we just throwing good money after bad?
And just think about the recruitment problem. Let's say Choudri doesn't come back. Let's say the internal review says, you know what, the mugshot is too much baggage, you're out.
Then they have to find a new CEO.
Who on earth would want that job?
That's the problem. It's a radioactive position. You're taking over a project that is years late, billions over budget, and constantly attacked by half the political spectrum. And now you know your predecessor was arrested. It's not a great recruiting pitch.
Wanted. CEO for impossible project. Must enjoy public scrutiny and, police visits.
Exactly. So the search for a new leader could take 6 months, maybe a year. And during that year, the project just drifts. The systems contracts get delayed. The costs go up again.
So Wasco might end up being the world's most expensive storage yard for a little while.
It's a very real possibility. The facility is ready, but the organization just isn't.
It brings up a really provocative thought about government in general. We always talk about the bureaucracy like it's a bad thing. But in this case, the bureaucracy is the only thing keeping the lights on.
That's true. The system is designed to survive the people running it.
But here's the question I want to leave you with today. The High-Speed Rail Authority says the project is moving forward without interruption, even though the CEO is gone.
Mm-hmm.
If a $100 billion project can run just fine without its leader, what does that say about the leader?
Or what does it say about the project? Is it just an autopilot machine burning cash?
Exactly. If the train leaves the station without a conductor, is it autonomous or is it just a runaway train?
And I think the taxpayers are starting to feel like they're tied to the tracks either way.
A sobering thought. We will keep watching the police blotter and the engineering reports so you don't have to. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
Stay safe out there.